It happened on a Tuesday night with the TV on mute and the dishwasher droning like a metronome. I was curled on the couch under a throw blanket that Noah's mom had crocheted, scrolling Zillow like it was Pinterest, fantasizing about little porches we might someday decorate with pumpkins. Noah was on the floor with the remote, trying to fix his stupid Chromecast that kept switching from Netflix to the ambient photos slideshow. He hates technology that keeps helping when he didn't ask. "Why is it showing our trip to Austin?" he muttered, tapping the settings. Then his thumb froze midair. Wait. I looked up reflexively and saw it. A 5-second video loop, the kind that plays between pictures like a GIF, except this one wasn't in Austin. It wasn't anywhere he'd recognize. It was a half-second of a man's shoulder, bare, with a small geometric tattoo just below the collarbone. Noah said his name like a fact. Evan. We both froze. The jets in my stomach went hot and then cold. The TV shifted to a photo of a latte with heart foam and then, cruelly, back to the clip of my hand sliding across that shoulder in a way no one could call innocent. Muted. Short. Enough. Noah didn't look at me. He stood, calm the way people are calm in science videos when they pour something dangerous into beakers. He tapped the remote, then walked to the router, unplugged it, and plugged it back in. "You signed into Google Photos on the Chromecast," he said. His voice was level. "I must have. Last month," I stammered. "Remember? We were trying to show my parents the museum pictures." He nodded once, still looking at the TV like it had spoken. "It's pulling recent highlights by default," he said. "So those videos are recent." "That's not. I mean, recent can mean it's not precise." I tried. My mouth was full of cotton. My fingers had gone cold. I felt like a kid caught with a hand in the cookie jar. Worse. The jar was attached to his best friend's chest. I could have gotten up and thrown my phone into the sink. I could have made a scene, accused the Chromecast of violating my privacy. It hadn't. This was me carelessly leaving my account signed in. I could have confessed everything and spared us both 3 days of circling. Instead, I went for the first lie a drowning person reaches for. "Those are old." Noah turned and looked at me properly for the first time since the video looped. Neutral face. That's what made me panic. The lack of heat. "When?" he asked. I stared at the corner of the rug where the yarn is coming loose, and said the thing I wanted to be true. "Before us," I said. "It's before we were exclusive. We have a history, me and Evan. Not a relationship history. Not that you would call a history if it were your boyfriend's best friend in a story you could tell at a wedding toast. I met Noah through Evan. They played pickup basketball together, and then a charity softball league where 30-somethings in office attire pretended slow pitch could fix their 9-to-5 posture. I'd dated casually in that orbit for years. The friend of a friend scene. Before Noah, there was a 6-month detour with a bartender who collected succulents and grudges. There were a few nights I didn't want to refer to by name. Evan and I had kissed. Once. In the dim corner of a noisy bar 2 years ago after a fundraiser they hosted at a brewery. We had both been deep in our own versions of sad. I remember the scrape of his stubble, and the way my brain felt as if I had clicked a button that said, self-destruct later. We did not sleep together that night. We traded 4 messy texts the next week, and then stopped on purpose. When Noah and I met at a board game night 6 months later, Evan hugged me like a person unbothered by things we weren't going to reference. It seemed grown-up. It suited me. Noah gave me the gift of patience early. We went slow. We ate tacos at a place where the tortillas taste like joy. He came to my niece's recital when her other aunt bailed. He fixed a wobbly chair at my apartment with a screwdriver he kept in his glove compartment like a Boy Scout. He's the man you want when your life needs a steady hand. That's the part that makes this story worse. The videos weren't 2 years old. They weren't even 6 months old. I knew the date. My stomach knew it before my brain let the numbers line up. They were from a Saturday in March when Noah had been out of town for his grandma's 80th, and I told myself a dozen slippery things about loneliness, wine, and what counts if no one knows. I had made a little movie out of selfishness and labeled it, "I'm still my own person." I hadn't told myself Evan is his best friend, and this will blow up your life if you let it. Noah stood there with the unplugged router and the unalphabetized remote, and watched the TV blink into the default Chromecast art. Mountains and mist, and an ocean that asked to be forgiven for being beautiful. "Can I see your phone?" he asked, not aggressive, not accusing, just like he was asking for the grocery list we'd written together. My phone lay face down on the coffee table like a character in a play that expects applause for pretending to be inanimate. I picked it up, unlocked it, and stared at my options. My Google Photos was open on my account, because I'd just been scrolling Zillow. It was all there. Metadata and timestamps and my own face when I held the phone too close. I need to know if I'm crazy, Noah said. If that's Evan, I need to know when. You always think like an engineer, I snapped, because when I am cornered I get mean. Timestamps. Data. As if feelings don't matter. Data tells me if I'm living in the same story you are, he said. He held out his hand again. Please. I gave him my phone because I wasn't willing to fight him for it in our living room like a teenager. He scrolled with his face calm and pale. He went quietly to library, then videos, then scrolled down until he reached March and tapped with the kind of care you use on a breakable thing. There were 3 videos. None more than 40 seconds. None obviously obscene on mute. But the context screamed even in silence. A laugh that was mine. A voice. Evan's. Blurry at the edge. A hand, identifiable by a small crescent scar from a childhood bike accident. Evan's scar. The bed wasn't mine. It was the guest room in Evan's townhouse. I recognized the octagonal mirror over the dresser because I'd made fun of it once for being Airbnb core. He tapped the info icon. It gave the facts without a fight. Date, time, location. March 18th. 11:52 p.m. GPS coordinates that put it at Evan's house. I watched him swallow. I watched my future teeter. He handed the phone back without flinging it. We were exclusive, he said. He did not ask me if I remembered. He said it like a calendar entry. Dinner at Julia's. Announce exclusivity. Because that's what it had been. February 10th. A Friday. We had sat at a bistro with a candle stub between us and I had said, I'm not seeing anyone else. I don't want you to either, with the confidence of someone who believed herself. He had smiled and said, that's what I want. He had ordered dessert. He had kissed me at my door and said, this is a good thing. It was one night, I said now, hating my voice for trying to make math absolution. He didn't raise his voice. That's not the point. I started to cry because that's what I do when cornered. My body tries to bargain with water. I was drunk, I said. I was sad. You were gone. We'd fought over something dumb. Remember? About your sister borrowing your car, and you taking her side. I felt small. Evan texted because he and Mouse were watching March Madness, and he said to swing by if I wanted company and I said just for a bit, and then I stayed. It didn't mean anything. He exhaled. It means something now, he said. I started doing why aren't you being rational gymnastics. It was only once, it was fast, we used protection. It was before I met your grandma. It meant nothing, I didn't even sleep over. The things we say when our skeletons insist on dancing. He nodded to each like they were items on a receipt. Then he said, did you tell him to delete them? I blinked. What? The videos, he said. Did you tell Evan to delete whatever's on his end? Because he would have them too, if you shared them or if he filmed any on his phone. His face had gone pale again. The calculated kind of pale where rage has been replaced by logistics because he doesn't trust himself with rage. I'm not threatening anything. I'm saying, they exist. That scares me. It should scare you. I didn't share, I said, and then realized how stupid that sounded. I mean, I had my phone. I sent him one, maybe, and then I think I deleted it. I trailed. Google Photos backs up in the background. Deleting in messages doesn't delete in photos. I'll tell him to delete anything. I'll make sure. He nodded once. Good. Then he went to the counter, put down the remote, and picked up his keys. I need to go to my sister's, he said. Now, my voice squeaked. We can talk. We will, he said. But we're not going to do it right now while I'm trying not to put my fist through a wall I hung shelving on. I will not be that man in this apartment. I also won't be the man who yells until he feels better. I'm going to breathe somewhere you've never taken a video. He meant it to be dry. It landed like acid. He left without slamming the door. He texted me an hour later. I'll be back tomorrow at 4. Please don't call Evan. I want to talk to him first. Then a minute later. Actually, text him this. Delete anything you have that shows me. Immediately. Do not share, store, or forward. Don't say anything else. I typed exactly that and sent it. Evan read it almost instantly and wrote back done. And then, can we talk? I put my phone face down and tried not to throw up. That night, I lay on the couch under the crochet blanket and mapped every way I could pretend this wasn't what it was. If this were a Reddit story written by a different woman, the comments would be full of people saying, once is enough, and they would also be full of strangers arguing about what counts as cheating if emotions are absent. The internet loves a semantics fight, because you can win those with cleverness. Real life doesn't care about your synonyms. Noah came back the next day at 3:58, because he is as punctual in endings as he is in beginnings. He set his keys in the bowl, sat on the couch, and folded his hands in his lap like he was in a meeting with HR. He didn't do preamble. I talked to Evan, he said. He admitted it immediately. He said he thought we were on a break because we'd fought. He said he hates himself. He said he's wanted to tell me for months and chickened out. He said all the words a man says when he wants to mean it. I'm sorry, I said, the words a coin I threw knowing it wouldn't pay for the item I wanted. I am. I hate that I did this to you. I hate that I did this to us. He nodded once, that small judicial nod of a person accepting a statement as part of the record. There are a few things I need to say, he said, and then, God help me. He pulled out a small notepad. I'm not reading a script, he added when I flinched. I just don't want to lose my place and start telling you about my 6th grade soccer trauma or something. I deserve the script, I said small. You don't deserve cruelty, he said. So I'm going to try very hard to do this right. He looked down at his list. Number 1. I don't care if it was one time. I don't care if you were drunk. I care that it was with my best friend, and that you recorded it, and that the evidence of it lives in the same digital spaces. You show my mother our Thanksgiving photos. You detonated a charge in the foundation and told yourself it was a firework. I cried without argument. Number 2. I'm not going to circulate those videos, obviously. That's a crime in this state and a moral line I will never cross. He met my eyes. I am asking you to take a hard look at your digital privacy and safety. Delete them properly. Confirm with Evan that he has. I won't be checking or policing because I am not your parent. But do it for yourself. Even if we never speak again. You don't want that ghost in your cloud. Don't just hide them. Learn how backups work. I will, I said, nodding like a penitent child. Number 3. I'm not deciding today if we break up or if there's a version where we try. He swallowed. Don't read into that. I just don't trust decisions I make inside the hour after impact. And I refuse to pretend this is a small thing I can walk off. So here's what is going to happen in the short term. I'm going to stay at my sister's for a week. You can stay here. Don't have Evan over. Don't. I can't believe I have to say that, but I'm saying it out loud so I don't feel insane later. We'll go to a couples therapist next Wednesday if you agree. If we can't get a same-week appointment, we'll find someone for the week after. He exhaled. If at any point I wake up and realize my body is just pretending to be okay to buy my mind time, I will end it. That is not a threat. It's a boundary. Okay, I whispered. Number 4. I told Evan he is out of my life for the foreseeable future. He cried. He apologized again. He said he'll write you an apology, and I told him not to. That's not for me. But he will not be at my birthday next week, and he will not be at Sunday ball. I don't owe him a second chance at my trust because we used to share a bench. He crumpled slightly after this part, the paper creasing at the edges of something he had tried to keep flat. I called my therapist. I'm seeing him Monday. Okay, I repeated, feeling like okay had become my entire vocabulary. He looked at me for a long time, with a face I will never forget. Not contempt. Not pity. Something like the quiet of a person in a museum who has just realized the painting they've been staring at is a forgery, and also, somehow, their own hands had been in the room when it was switched. I loved you the regular way, he said softly. Grocery lists and oil changes. I want you to know that. I nearly broke my own ribs trying not to reach for him. He stood, picked up a backpack he'd left by the door, and then turned back like he'd remembered something else. This is not a legal lecture, but it is a real one. Don't send videos like that to anyone who isn't your husband, and even then be careful. I know it's not romantic. I know it sounds like I'm 90. But I never want to be the person who finds something that private by accident again. No one does. The internet isn't private. Neither is a living room TV. That sounds like a joke. It isn't. He left. I sat on the couch and sobbed into the blanket until the yarn smelled like salt. Then I opened my laptop and started Googling like my future depended on it. How to permanently delete backed up videos. How to remove content from Google Photos across devices. How to empty the trash, so items aren't just removed from the app view, but actually expunged from the cloud after the retention period. How to request a full data export to see what exists where. I wasn't going to ask Noah to help. If I was going to clean up the mess, I wasn't going to make him part of the cleanup crew. I texted Evan. Delete everything including backups. Confirm. I watched the typing dots appear, disappear, reappear. I deleted what I had and emptied trash, he wrote. Google says fully purged in 60 days. I removed device backups. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll never forgive myself. I didn't respond, because I wasn't willing to carry his absolution in addition to my own guilt. Couples therapy on Wednesday felt like being asked to perform surgery on a moving car. Dr. Morales had gentle eyes that made me want to confess things even before she asked. Noah spoke first. Factual, careful. He told her what he found and how he found it. Fun fact. Chromecast's ambient mode may display recent content from any Google Photos account signed into it. Even if you forgot, it was me, not a ghost. He told her what he did not want. Revenge, humiliation, a relationship policed by surveillance. He told her what he could not accept. A life with someone who could turn off their responsibility by calling cheat codes like, I was drunk, and it was once. I told her I was scared. It came out childlike. I told her how much I wanted to be thought of as modern, cool, not a nag, the girlfriend who sets few rules because she doesn't need them. I told her how sometimes I confused that performance with strength. I told her I had wanted a little pocket of wildness because a part of me thought I would disappear otherwise. I told her none of this excuses putting my mouth on his best friend and picking up my phone like it was a prop in the play, where I am always interesting. She listened and then said, to both of us, now that the timeline is not contested and the harm is named, are you asking for repair or are you asking for permission to repeat? Your behavior will answer that question louder than anything you say. To me, she added, do not call this just videos. You found evidence of a betrayal. The device is not the issue. The choice is. Noah asked for a week. He left my apartment key on the counter because he didn't want to be tempted to stop by and be soft with me when the loneliness got colder. I returned his spare key to his sister's because I didn't want to wake up at 2 a.m. and let myself in like a ghost with a plan. In the week he was gone, I did what you do when life narrows and you have only yourself for company. I cleaned. I made lists. I went to work and answered emails with the crisp efficiency of a woman whose emotions have been locked away for later. I texted my best friend Maya exactly one sentence. I messed up and slept with Evan in March and Noah found the videos. And then put my phone on Do Not Disturb because I didn't want anyone telling me I wasn't a monster. I needed the wait. I didn't need the permission to treat it like a misunderstanding. Evan called once. I didn't answer. He wrote an email that I skimmed and then filed into a folder named Later. He told Noah's friends before Noah could. He thought it would be noble, he wrote. And the friend group erupted like any group of men in their 30s who suddenly have a middle school moral panic. Some of them texted me versions of how could you? As if I owed them my confession. I didn't respond. Noah, God bless him, sent a group text that said, I am not crowdsourcing my relationship. Do not harass her. Do not harass me. Do not invite Evan to Sunday ball for a while. Then he left the thread. If there is a version of winning in these stories, it is that. Set a boundary and step away. On Friday, Noah came over with a box. I had expected luggage or lists. It was a small cardboard box, taped once neatly. He set it on the coffee table and sat. Before you ask, he said, this isn't a ring box. I'm not that theatrical. Dry humor. It made me want to both smile and vomit. He took a breath. I thought this week would make things clearer, he said. It did, but not in the way I hoped. I don't wake up wanting to punish you. I wake up remembering that when I see you pour coffee into my favorite mug, my body also sees a 5-second loop of a shoulder with a geometric tattoo. I can't live like that. I won't make either of us live like that. I love you. I cannot do this relationship anymore. I nodded. I kept my face still so he didn't have to comfort me. Okay, I said. It felt like a small, dying animal in my mouth. The box has a few things you might want, he said, gesturing. Your toothbrush at my sister's. The sweater you left. The photo strip from the fair. And a printout I made for you. How to fully delete backed up content on Google Photos and iCloud. Not because I'm policing you. Because I want you safe. I wrote in plain English what I learned this week. He looked embarrassed. I know that's ridiculous. It's how my brain loves people. It's not ridiculous, I said, and I meant it. It's you. We sat for a moment listening to the dishwasher, which suddenly seemed like a metaphor for everything. Loud, necessary, cleaning what had been used for joy until it squeaked. He stood, and I stood with him, and we didn't hug because he is a man who knows where sympathy ends and self-betrayal begins. I'm not deleting your number, he said, which felt absurd and kind. But I'm muting this thread. For a while. Maybe a long while. I won't write, I promised. Except once in a year, to say I hope you're good. He smiled, a little broken smile. I hope you are too. He left. He did not slam. He has never slammed anything except a locker when Evan nearly broke his ankle in a half-court game and refused to go to urgent care. He is not a slammer. He is a man who leaves a list when he loves a person and knows he can't love them past the thing they did. I did not spiral into a crazy ex. I did not post on Instagram about choosing myself. I did not text Evan at 2 a.m. I deleted the videos. For real. I learned how to go into the web interface and delete, then empty the trash, then wait for the purge window. I downloaded my data archive and checked for stragglers. I read a whole article on how recently deleted isn't deleted until it's actually, deleted. I learned more about cloud backups than I ever wanted to. I did it because it's decent. I did it because living with a digital ghost of your worst night is like living with a smoke detector that chirps every 60 seconds. You'll go insane if you don't change the battery. Evan moved to a different friend group. He tried to apologize to me at a farmer's market 2 months later. I told him to stop. You don't get to be good here by suffering in front of me, I said, not cruel, just done. He nodded and walked away. I bought peaches and tried not to cry when the cashier asked how my day was. I found a therapist. I said in the first session, I did something stupid, and she said, say it without minimizing. I said, I cheated with his friend. The word felt like swallowing a battery. I told her about the video on the TV, about Noah's list, about how I wanted Noah to be angrier, so I could be angrier back and call it a draw. She said, anger is a mask for grief. He took the mask off first. People ask me now, the few who know the whole story, if he overreacted. They mean, should one night, one mistake, end everything? I tell them the truth I can live with. He did not overreact. He refused to build a house with someone who had moved one of the load-bearing beams and called it modern design. He won, if you need teams, by not smearing me, not punishing me, and not turning into a detective obsessed with my location history. He won by doing the courteous, devastating thing. He left and took with him the parts of us that weren't damaged, so they didn't have to be used as evidence. He'll do well with someone who never hands their worst impulses to his best friend. He deserves it. What did I learn besides the obvious? That privacy and secrecy are not the same, and the second one will rot you. That it didn't mean anything is something only people who aren't hurt say. That if your life ends up on the TV by accident, it probably wasn't an accident. It was a life that needed light. That you cannot one time your way out of the reality that trust is math. One betrayal can subtract 1,000 safe Tuesdays. That Google Photos is not your therapist or your confessor, and will show your sins while you're trying to watch a baking show if you ask it to. I still have the crochet blanket. It's too warm for summer, but I keep it folded over the back of the couch because it reminds me that people make things slowly with their hands, and those things last even when you ruin other parts of your life. I sit under it sometimes and imagine a different Tuesday when the Chromecast shows only lattes and dogs. It's okay if it doesn't. I unplug it and go for a walk. If I ever love someone like that again. And I hope I do. I will not keep a hidden folder called receipts on my phone like a child. I will not weaponize cool girl energy against the man who brings me soup when I'm sick. I will not kiss a shoulder with a geometric tattoo that belongs to the person he trusts most. I will ask for attention like an adult, instead of inventing an emergency to be rescued from. I will make fewer movies and more dinners. I will understand that if the options are tell the truth, or create a story where you look okay, you only win for 10 minutes with the second one. Sometimes I still think about the loop on the TV, the way time betrayed me in 5 seconds, the way my body knew before my mouth did that I'd run out of cover. It is not the worst thing that can be on a television. It is the worst thing I've let be on mine. I live with that. I live, also, with a hope that the next person who loves me will never have to become an archivist of my mistakes to figure out what we are. And that if anything of mine ever shows up in a place it shouldn't, it is a video of us planting tomatoes on a porch we pay for together, fully clothed and wildly boring, the kind of recent highlight no one ever has to mute.